Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are here for our final event for the weekend, which is our second panel discussion, and we're going to have the younger generation of collectors, mineral collectors, and have a conversation with them. We have Thea Stender, Michael Yeager, Joe George, and Dylan Trevors, who are going to be telling about their work with Friends of Mineralogy, their collecting, and their vision for where we're going to go in the future as a chapter, where they're going to go. So that's what we're going to talk about this morning. So first of all, and I want to say a word of thank you because all of you have something over at the Red Lion. You're all dealers and some, either have a room or you're selling or something over there. So I know that there's, I appreciate you taking time to come here on the last day, and then you have to run back over there and take your room down and everything. So I appreciate that. So I'll be mindful of that. Okay, so let's get started. And who has the microphone? You've got the microphone. So Thea, kick it off. Tell us if you have a company name, what you're doing in collecting. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today.
All right. My name is Thea Stender, and I am the owner of Confluence Minerals. This year we had some new material, so we had a lot of material from our Big Chief claim, and that's a new claim that I acquired in the Middle Fork Valley. And we also had a kind of new discovery that me and my boyfriend found of some Washington kyanite, and that was kind of an exciting discovery. We're hoping it gets better, but yeah, so that's the projects that we had going on this year, and we were focusing on finding some new localities this summer, and I think we got some that we're going to go back to next season that seem like they have some potential. So.
I'm going to pause. You're doing other things with Friends of Mineralogy too, like just about everything behind the scenes that Dan's not doing. And so what are your responsibilities here this weekend?
Okay. All right, so I'm the vice president of this chapter of Friends of Mineralogy, and this year I've been the dealer liaison, I've been exhibits liaison, I'm the field trip coordinator, so I'm leading the field trip to the Liberty Gold Mine this afternoon, and I did some damage control on Friday, and yeah, I'm just kind of there to help accommodate all the dealers and members and, do storage runs and advertising, trying to help Dan out with publicity and stuff and dealer slideshow. I may have bit off a little more than I could chew this year, but it worked out.
Okay. There's a 2-letter word, no, you can learn that, but, later.
But it's hard to say no. I just love this organization so much.
Well,
don't worry, he hasn't learned that yet.
Maybe I'll learn it someday.
I wanted to recognize that. So Thea's done a lot, and she, when we have the planning meetings,
Oh, you guys. Well,
every time there was some holes, she said, "Oh, I can do that. I can do that."
Well, I do this because I just love you all so much. This is like, you guys are my family. This is my community. You guys are my people, and I will do anything with whatever energy I have left to keep this going, because this is my community. I couldn't live without you guys.
Cool.
Truly.
Cool. Friends of Mineralogy. Okay, follow that, Michael.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael Yeager. I own the company Crystaholics Anonymous. We have 13 mining claims, and we're basically a company that collabs with other individual miners and other companies to help promote and get their operations going. So just want to give a big shout out to the guys that have been helping me lately. Nick Carlson of Tokel, Jesse Hoffman, High Stakes Mining. Those are the guys that are really behind a lot of the behind the scenes workings of the company, so I really couldn't do it without them. Some of the big latest projects that we have going on are the new Boulder Hill mines in Nevada, which is our new fluorite mine. So we're really looking forward to working that next year. We've also teamed up with AJ Castro, Castro Minerals, and we've got some pretty exciting projects going on, not only at the Boulder Hill mine next year, but also a new claim that him and I both own in Oregon. I'm pretty excited for that. I think that's going to produce a lot of really awesome things. So other than that, we really take a lot of pride in getting involved with community and inspiring young collectors to get out and get more involved in the programs and the shows. It's not all about just selling stuff and making money. I'd like to say a quote from one of my mentors, John Lindell. Basically, I feel a lot of people think that yesterday was the golden years, but in fact, today, these are the golden years. And, I think that's a big thing to remember. There's a lot of things to discover out there, and we as a company, we just really try to encourage and inspire people to get out and do more field collecting and do more research. And so.
I had that same observation about 20 years ago, which, I thought, I looked at old, 20 and 30 years ago, issues of the Mineralogical Record and other mineral magazines, and heard lectures, and I thought, wow, all the good stuff has been collected. And it's like, no, it hasn't, and that's one of the things that I'm glad you mentioned, that we're still finding cool stuff. There's still new finds, new minerals, new discoveries. So thanks for bringing that up. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe George. Cascade Scepters, or I'm actually kind of known as Scepter Guy on eBay. It's kind of stuck. Some people even introduced me as Scepter Guy when I meet people in public. I've been mineral collecting since I was 7 years old up in the Cascades. I was hiking with my parents, and we found this little crystal on a trail at Denny Creek. And my imagination was sparked. Where did this thing come from? And I just had to know. And so we started crystal collecting. Quite a long time ago, acquired Purple Hope claim from Bob Jackson. And about 25 years or so, I've been mining that in depth and really getting to see what this quartz locality does. It's not just quartz. We got deep enough in there. Oh yeah, there's lots of pyrite in there too. A couple other interesting things, but it's the wild quartz forms that really get me. We get twins and scepters, and it's been a great experience to just go deep into one of these breccias, and the place is like 7 different localities if you really look at it. Also played a bit with Hallelujah Junction. Did quite a lot of work there. There's a lot of other localities in the Cascades, so I'd sure like to get at them. I got my eye on quite a few, but it's finding the time to get out there and collect is sometimes difficult.
Okay, thank you. We'll get back to some of the details on collecting too. So Dylan, what are you?
Hi, I'm Dylan, Washington local, born and raised. I've been collecting for about 12 years. My first symposium was, I think, in 2017 or 2018. I believe I was the only young person I could find at the time. My friend Caleb here suggested I attend. I was doing the Portland Regional show at the time, and the dealer happenings are going on at the nighttime. So after the show, I drove up there and went and met some, of the people selling and, attending there. And I just was amazed by the community that I found there, and I decided I would never miss it again. For me, in collecting, the history of collecting is really important to me, along with the chemistry, and all that stuff. I love the Washington State mineralogy the most. It's what I prefer to collect. And
Washington State's pretty diverse. It's just so many different environments.
Yeah, everything in the Cascades I love dearly, but also some of the more obscure things that are, rare and smaller, like the Alverson strontianite deposit I find to be just a fascinating oddity in our state. One of the few localities accessible by boat, which is kind of fun.
That should help defending your claim.
And I have a dealership of about eight or 9 years, and I've been doing it now. Great Northern Minerals. I have specimens from all over. I've been going to Tucson and Denver for the last 10 years and just can't stay away, and tend to help out other, long-standing dealers who, need some help because they're getting older. But yeah, I can't stay away. It's too much fun. And I have 0 mining claims because Mike has them all.
Okay. You're gonna-
One day I'll get
gotta
a
share.
couple.
Gotta share. Yeah. So while you still have the microphone, what are some great mining adventures that you've had? I mean, what are some? What are
Well,
the
I
coolest
don't
experiences?
get to go field collecting as much as I'd like to. Everyone, if you've gone collecting here in Washington, our seasons are very short, and a lot of our localities are very remote. So it takes dedication of time and energy to reach these places, and let alone find anything. Washington Pass is probably my favorite place to go collect, just because it's so, scenic and beautiful up there. Just to be there, let alone find great rocks. And there's, the promise of some really fun things up there, and rare species. I've had some nice chats with Randy Becker over the years. That's piqued my interest in some of the really interesting micromounts and rare species that we can get out there. Being an alkali granite, you get some really unique stuff. I've been inside the Alverson a couple times. That's just you get to go inside of an old adit, and it's a little dangerous and exciting. But unfortunately my field collecting isn't as broad as some of my peers here. But I've gone a sort of a different route with more of the selling side of things over the years, because I've found that I have a skill set that bodes well in that department to help out some people who need it. Yeah. So.
All right, cool. Joe, tell us about, I don't know, the Spruce Claim, Denny Mountain. How do you get there? What's mining there like?
Well, I have spent most of my time up at Green Ridge, or the Purple Hope. There's been a lot of really, really great pockets, but getting into that one, it's far out in the wilderness. You have to hike on a good day, if your pack isn't too much, 3 or 4 hours, and you're not doing a single day trip. Although I did some of those way back in the old days, my knees don't do that anymore. Going in there for 3-4 days at a time, and sometimes in the Northwest quite rainy, but the crystals are worth it. I can think of some of these pockets that we got into, and the pockets at Purple Hope are huge, crawl in size. A couple of them were big enough to fit 2 or 3 people in them. You get into one of those things and you're discovering things that nobody's ever seen, but on macro scale. It's just, it lights my fire to see these things, backpacks and backpacks full of stuff coming out. And you realize when you come out of the hole, it got dark at some point. And, well, now we've got, couple 100 pounds of quartz clusters sitting around. How are we going to get these off of the mountain? Take your favorite ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Midnight Dream.
Oh, tell us about the Midnight Dream.
Thea was there for that one.
We want Thea to tell that story?
Yeah, maybe we could pass it to Thea for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Mike. Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right, so Midnight Dream, that was my first season at Green Ridge. So I worked with Joe a lot up at Purple Hope number 4. And Midnight Dream was my first season up there. Was that my first week? No, that was like my second week. Yeah, so it was like my second week. It was me, Joe, and Holly Rust up there until probably 3:30 a.m. in this pocket full of goethite, crusty, but man, there was some good, nice, lustrous, clear crystals coming out. Big DTs, some twins. Found my first Japan Law twin. It was just awesome. Yeah, Midnight Dream was cool, but that was one of those nights where you're like, oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. What are we doing right now? You look behind you. There's a cliff right there, and it's pitch black.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty energizing too, when even at the end of the day, the sun's going down and you break into a pocket. That's pretty cool. So, Michael,
I guess I can talk a little bit about Vesper Peak. I've been going
Good.
up to Vesper Peak for 13 years and been working at commercially for Avant Mining for the past 7. This is actually the last year on the contract, so we're kind of moving on next year from Vesper, but that place has really got a special place in my heart. The last 7 years, we've worked a lot on kind of getting the place ready for the next stage. That was a lot of work clearing a lot of the rubble and stuff that was on the main deposit and getting that exposed and ready for its next chapter in its life. But that place is very demanding. We usually have to fly stuff up in helicopters at the beginning of the season as well as at the end of the season, and it's about a 4.5 mile hike with 4,500 feet of elevation gain. So it's pretty demanding getting up there. And like Joe said, it's in my early days I did a lot of solo days up there, but my knees don't like that these days. So we usually go up for weather 10 to 5 to 7 days at a time. The longest I've stayed up there was 17 days in a row, and yeah.
Wow.
That's about
that,
the limit.
That is a
14,
lot.
You notice that things are maybe
As
not so
as
good.
long as we have meat, we're good, and we'll stay up there. So
You gotta get
know,
past that 4-day threshold. So the first 3 days are pretty dang rough. And then once you get past day
Microphone.
4, it's like, okay, you're kind of acclimated a little bit.
I don't know if you get acclimated up there. For some reason, that place is weird, and when you're up there, you are always tired. So yeah, at least for me, that's how it feels. So
It's come up, a couple of you have mentioned this, that there are people that you thanked who got you started and have mentored you, helped you getting started in collecting, got you into this chapter, whatever. Who for you has been one of your mentors in this group?
I think for me, I'll say the 3 most influential people. Bart Cannon was probably one of the biggest inspirations for me. Yeah, I used to go over there at least once every week to almost every other week. Not necessarily just to talk rocks, but just to talk about life and get life advice. And he really helped me through a lot of really hard times. So he was a big impact and inspiration for me to want to get more involved. He was actually the one who encouraged me to come to my first show, which was 2018, I believe. So we've been coming ever since then. And the other one, the second, would be John Lindell, wherever he's hiding in here. Big inspiration to me as well. Definitely influenced me a lot, and to this day. And then the third one would be James Zegras, actually, from Avant Mining. I don't think I would be who I am and where I'm at if it wasn't for his help in the mining world and community.
Yeah.
Being able to go down to Arkansas for the past, I've been working for Avant for the past 7 years, and getting to see and learn down there has really opened my eyes to mining on another level, and trying to bring what I learned down there up here to the Northwest has been kind of the big thing. So,
Joe, what about you?
Well, definitely Bob Jackson was my idol. He was doing so much with quartz and pyrite. I was a little kid, and I eventually asked him if he would ever tell me where I could go dig crystals. And he hired me for a weekend for backpacking his supplies into Spruce. I must have been 14, 15 years old or so. And he told me about that Green Ridge place. And I listened to everything he had to say, but he also hooked me up with Rick Dilhoff. And I eventually bought the claim Green Ridge from Bob Jackson, and Rick got the other one. And so Rick's been my other mentor. He doesn't necessarily socialize that much, but I've definitely come to really admire the guy. He's taught me a lot.
Yeah. Rick has quite a collection too, and he was lurking around this weekend. So.
Yeah. And of course, I chatted a bunch with John Lindell as well. But really, it's out in the field. I don't know if many of you know who Archer McGill is. He's somebody I spent a whole lot of time out with in the hills. He was working with Bob for a long time, but he also went over onto our project. And, sitting around the campfire, that's where you really learn the most stuff.
Wow, great experiences, yeah.
I've had a handful of mentors over the years. The first guy that I worked with when I first got into minerals, he was a dealer, and 10 years ago, last week, asked me to help him at a show, and we drove out to Detroit and did the show out there. And then after that, things went well. He said, "Why don't you come help me in Tucson?" And I went and did that, and things didn't end the best with that guy. And then I ended up moving back home and found out about the Seattle mineral market. Trying to figure out how I could stay involved in minerals because I had just fallen so in love with this, hobby and industry, and trying to, figure out a way to not get a real job. And so I found out about the mineral market. I acquired all these minerals from the guy I was working for and decided to get a booth. And that was where I met Bart Cannon. And I had already been quite interested in Washington minerals, but not really sure where to get them other than Joe's eBay page. I had gotten some nice stuff from him at that time, namely one really great pyrite about the size of a softball with about 6 quartzes going around it. Still a jewel in my collection. But I met Bart Cannon, and we shared a love for the geology and mineralogy of this state, and formed a bond very quickly. Fast forward some years, I meet my friend Caleb Simkoff over here, and we became very close. And through him, I learned a lot about silver because he's a silver collector, and that was something I had never, really known about. And so, just finding a new thing in this mineral kingdom to, latch onto and learn about is always exciting. Fast forward a few more years, I take a job with a long-standing dealer of Tucson and all the shows, Donald and Gloria Olson. Gloria is a very, very smart woman. She's a PhD, studied at Miami University, and she was actually an integral part of the discovery and furthering the production at Spruce Claim. Her and a group of guys from Ohio, John Medici, Neil Pfaff, some others I can't recall at the moment. She was working in her shop that she had in Columbus, so she didn't get to come on the expedition, but she sent all these guys out because they had heard of these really interesting inclusions of pyrite and quartz, where the pyrite was doing these really strange 90-degree angles and doing all these weird stuff, and they went out to go inspect it. And the guys went out and did a bunch of collecting, found some cool stuff, brought it back to Ohio, and they had hired Bob Jackson, I guess, to help him out because he was the local guy out here. And they came out and left, and they said, we're kind of done with this. Do you want it? And he said, yeah. And then that was how, I guess, sort of somehow how Bob came to be in possession of that. But I've learned so much working with them because they specialize in Michigan coppers and other Midwest stuff like that. And so through these different, mentorships that I've been able to find, I've been able to really, further my knowledge in, new departments in the hobby, which has been really great.
Great, wonderful. Did you want to say anything more, Thea?
So I've actually had quite a few really amazing mentors. So my first mentor was Bart Cannon, the first one that I met. And when I first started mineral collecting, I was 15, and I got really interested in discovering new occurrences. And so I discovered this selenite deposit in Wenatchee. And so I started posting in stuff, in the Rockhound groups because I was a newbie, and I decided to go to my first Seattle mineral market because I heard that Bart put it on, and I would read his books and I would see stuff on Mindat and whatnot, and so he was really inspiring to me. And so that was my goal, was to go to mineral market and meet Bart. And I found him, and he's like, "Wait a minute. You're that selenite girl, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I want to see some of that stuff." And I was like, "Cool, I got the biggest piece that I found in my car." So I went and got it. And, after that, he kind of took me under his wing and was willing to share information with me because I was willing to do research. And he kind of helped teach me how to properly do mineral research and whatnot. So that was really cool. And then I decided to go to Mineral Market again. And at that time, I had already gone out collecting with other people in the community, like Corey Torpin and other people. And Corey was selling with John Lindell at that Mineral Market. And I was like, oh, cool. So I can go meet John. This is awesome. And so then that formed the connection with John. And he's really been a great mentor to me, willing to share information, also teach me how to properly research, and has had a lot of faith in me in this adventure. And he's really supported me in a lot of things, gives great advice. And then Joe actually is a super influential mentor of mine. I worked with him a lot at Purple Hope number 4, and he taught me a whole lot about drilling and rappelling and serious hard rock mining. And I'm forever thankful for that. And that had been some of the best experiences of my life so far. And I loved working with him.
There are some great pictures of you hanging off the cliff with a drill. It's like, and then we all have pictures of everybody with their feet sticking out of holes. It's like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah. But then I've also had a couple of other mentors, like the owner of Spruce. He taught me a lot about drilling as well and proper specimen extracting. The extraction process is so different at Spruce and Green Ridge. So it was a very, learning curve for spruce pockets, so you don't totally, destroy a specimen. Yeah.
I want to bring it back to Friends of Mineralogy. And how do you see that these people, that this chapter, this symposium, is this something, has it been helpful in your career? Is this something, what is your involvement going forward? I mean, we sort of have an idea of your involvement.
So being in the so this is my 3rd year in Friends of Mineralogy. Brittany Burkhart actually encouraged me to join this chapter. And she's actually been a great mentor of mine too, in terms of like show stuff. But this organization has helped me so much in this passion with networking and making connections with people, and just having a time of the year to have meaningful conversations and really get to know everybody in our community. And I think that's very important as a collective for us to be able to network like that every once in a while. And in terms of my involvement here on out, I would love to be involved like this more, because I just love helping these people,
Well,
and
we
I hope
appreciate
it goes
that.
far.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and thank you for saying that. So,
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, you're probably not getting rid of me for a while. So
all right. What about the rest of you?
So Bart was the one who influenced us to come in to our first show in 2018, and I remember coming. The different energy I feel about this show in comparison to other shows like the Seattle Mineral Market is you get the opportunity where you're getting to meet dealers, miners, where they're not in a rat race or pressure to be trying to make sales. So I guess it provides a little more of an intimate setting where you get to actually know who's behind the scenes, and you get to learn a lot more here, I feel, than at a lot of those other types of markets and shows. Not that you're going to not learn the stuff there, but the setting and the environment and the energy is totally different. And that's one of the big things that I've loved about this show. Getting to meet people like Randy Becker and Lanny Ream, that's been a highlight. And yeah, over the next coming years, thankfully, now that my Vesper seasons are coming to an end, we're going to be having a lot more time available. So we have been planning on getting more involved in this symposium, as well as other markets like the Seattle Mineral Market. So Yeah.
Yeah, we're developing a good relationship with the Seattle mineral market too, and doing some of our outreach there. And I think that's going to be increasing going forward. So,
Yeah.
what about you, Joe?
Well, I've mostly, when I've been selling rocks, I've been online, never in person. And the Friends Mineralogy show gave me a really chill environment to just dip my toe in the sales end of things in the public forum. So it's been really great for that. But
Sort of an incubator then.
yeah, but it's the talks that are really, that's a super great thing, because you really get in depth into the weeds of some of the chemistry and physics involved. You learn about localities that you never knew about before, and then we're around all these people that know a whole lot about it. You can have an after conversation, talk about whatever was in the talk a little bit later on when you run into somebody in the hall. And that really works for me. I find myself wanting these symposiums to be 4 or 5 days long, because then you can develop these conversations further. I mean, practically, I don't know if you can, but I'd go for it. I mean, this is my life.
Okay.
Well, my peers here touched on many points that we all, share in regards to FM and the symposium. For me, it's, as someone who's been traveling to the Tucson and Denver shows for the last 8 or 9 years and not missing any of them. Like Mike said, a bit of a rat race to make sales a lot of times at shows, but this event serves to me as an important reminder that there's more to collecting than just collecting, and gathering these specimens and enjoying them in the peace and quiet of your own home, but to engage with your fellow collectors and to discuss these things and the how and the why. This is my favorite mineral event of the year that I attend. And I just got back from Denver three weeks ago or so, 2 weeks straight of nonstop work, setting up, tearing down, the whole thing. And then I just went to Detroit and helped another friend set up the show there. And always a great time. I'm always excited to attend a mineral show. But this one, I'm tired, but I couldn't wait to get here. And I think that speaks to the value of this event and the camaraderie that we get from it. And like I said, just a reminder that there's more to it than just hoarding specimens and building that collection out, because we all know we can't stop. As hard as we may try, there's no stopping.
It's a disease. We can't, no cure has been found. So.
Yeah.
So, there are times, I know it's a lot of work, putting this, the behind the scenes, putting it on, even traveling here and all of that. But we hope that people will leave the symposium with lots of great memories and lots of great minerals and friendships, and leave inspired or recharged. And this is one of those groups, if I could just say that I do that as well. So I hope that, I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And to add to that, like I said, I think this is my 6th or 7th symposium now. 2017 or 2018 was my first one. And when I first came, I was, there was not any other 20-something-year-olds to be found, really. I remember a fond memory I have of wandering. It was at Kelso, and there was this little side room that we didn't use for the last few years, where there would be some dealers. And Doug Toland, rest in peace, was set up in there with about a 6-foot table, just a bunch of epidotes from his mine. Yep. And I just was over the moon. There were $40 here, $20 there, and I was just, oh my goodness, And he was so excited and tickled that some young kid was just jumping for joy over his epidotes.
Yeah, that was Doug. Yeah.
And I just remember, him saying, "Oh, we need more young guys like you out there, selling specimens, getting into the hobby," and that really encouraged me. And my friend Caleb told me, "You got to go to the symposium," because he had been, and he got it, because he's that type of collector, and we're cut from the same cloth in that regard. And once I attended and I saw what it was all about, all my other peers, that didn't know about it, I said the same thing to them for years. I said, you got to come, you got to come. And it took them a few years to get out here, but once they came, they haven't missed one. And that's
Right.
the power of this event.
Yeah, that's why I'm scared to go to New Mexico. It's like, I'm gonna- yeah. We're beginning to get close to the end of this session. Wish we could go on for a couple of hours. This is great stories. And so there's one topic I don't want to miss, and this is going to sound like a job interview question, but it's not. It's just, and it's a two-part question. So I'll just ask it the way I would ask if I were interviewing you for a job. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? It's like where, with your business, with your mining, with the society, and you're going to get old. That's inevitable. What are you going to do to help the next generation? What is it how are you going to shape this hobby?
Well, like I said before, I have a dealership. It's albeit small, in the grand scheme of the mineral world. A lot of online sales. I started doing this about 10 years ago, and there was not a lot of people on the social media side of things. The shows were still the primary place where people were going to buy specimens. But I found that there was a community of people online that were trying to buy minerals, and so I started doing that and developed a following there. But I found over time there's been a lot of change in that world that doesn't necessarily suit for me, the live sale aspect of things. And I find the shows to be much more comfortable for me. So I've, taken to helping, more established dealers who need help. And the connections that those afford me by working with these people and the people that they have relationships with have been immense. As far as my growth in this industry. So in 5 or 10 years, I probably see myself, helping another, well-established dealer alongside doing my own thing and building that, continuing to build that. But I find that I have the skill set to help, and I love to help people. It's just kind of my purpose, I think, why I'm put on this earth. And, as I've stabilized myself financially and otherwise, I'd love to give more of my time to the FM as time goes on.
Fantastic.
I'm going to remember you said that.
Thank you, Brian.
We have it on record.
5 or 10 years from now, I hope the same. Really, I want to do more exploration, and I've recently sold my claim at Green Ridge and gotten involved with spruce. But I'm not sure which project I'll really get involved with. I want to do more exploration and signing on to a team here or there. Maybe go worldwide a little bit. There's a few things I want to search out in the Alps. But here in the Northwest, it's really where my love is, and the projects that are happening here are exciting. It's really neat to see that there's a really large, new, young crowd. I can help them because I did it alone, and I know a lot of the pitfalls of how not to extract specimens. I've learned over the years, if it comes to drilling and blasting, or if, it's just specimen extraction, or figuring out where else in the locality there should be interesting specimens. I'd really like to stay in the field a whole lot more if I can. There's the practicality of running the business, and that continues to grow, but it's only a means to the end of getting back out there in the field.
Yeah, I think when I'm with you in your booth, in your room, it's like you're always like antsy. It's like I'm not collecting. I'm not where I should be. But you have to do
Truly.
that part so that you can do the other
Yeah,
parts.
if I could spend all of my time in the field, I would.
I think that goes for a lot of us. Yeah. Michael, any thoughts?
In the next 5 years, I'm hoping to get onto some of our projects that have been on the back burner. Since we've been working Vesper for so long, we've had a few claims that we've wanted to work and never had time to. So couple claims in the Middle Fork that we're looking forward to. Big Chief, Katie Bell. The new claims in Nevada, I see myself working down there a lot more. And just exploring. We're trying to venture a little more outside of the Northwest. We're still looking at our primary center is in the Northwest, but we're starting to look more into Nevada and other places within the country. In terms of other future things, a big thing I'm really happy about is our sponsorship program. We have I came up with the idea because I used to race motocross, and I never took racing serious until I got a sponsor. So I thought, what better way to inspire young collectors than to sponsor them, bring them out to our mines, give them a chance to go field collecting. So that's a big program we have as a company that I'm really proud about.
Fantastic concept.
Our sponsor this year is Aiden Sorenzi. Really, really bright young individual. I have to say, going out collecting with him, he sees a lot of stuff that I feel a lot of other people are not focused on. He's really into the smaller, detailed stuff. So just the few times that we've been out, I learn from it, and it's encouraging to see that. So yeah, for all the other young collectors out there, keep in mind that we do offer a sponsorship program. So we were taking nominations for people in the upcoming years.
So in like 5 years, me and Kyle have been really trying to find like new localities and stuff. And I think over time, my interest in where to take this has kind of developed into bringing to light the weird occurrences that people just don't know about. Like the kyanite or that epsomite from the Entiat mining district. Like nobody has really seen that very much. And I like bringing stuff like that to the eye of the community because it's interesting. And I've had a whole bunch of people be like, wow, I've never heard of that being here before, or I've never seen that color of this mineral before. And I love hearing that from people. I love the sense of a new discovery. I love the feeling of discovering something new and educating people about why these oddball things are so cool. Like, yeah, right now the kyanite's a little ugly, but the fact that it's even here and it could potentially get better is so interesting. And I love bringing stuff like that to light. And I love educating people that even have the slightest interest in minerals. And so when I show stuff like that to people, it's mainly like, look at the ground. You'll be surprised at what you miss. Like the Magnesio Hastings site. Before Kyle and I found that place, I had actually been up there a lot when I was in high school. And I just never looked at the ground. Like, you would be so surprised what you're just walking right on top of. That is so very interesting. Or like even just last night, like I can't believe I'm saying this, but I sold a specimen to Randy Becker. And it was this black tourmaline fan from Lehman Lake above Holden Village that we just found in the talus field. And he was like, wow, so I've read occurrences of like flat shoral crystals in the talus, but I'd never seen evidence of pocketing. And that to me, I was like, yes, see, that is what I'm here for, is to bring those things to light,
Right.
And that just really, strikes my fancy to bring that into the eye of the community, things like that.
All right. Well, to all of you, thank you. I think that's a good note to end on. You made it. You thanked your mentors and shared some vision for the future with us. And I think that's a good note to leave the symposium on, is that our future is here and out there. I had a tough job selecting just 4 of more young collectors, and that's a fortunate problem that I had to, had so many to choose from. And so I hope you've enjoyed this, and with that, I think we are concluded.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. This was a big lift to come to a new location and really try and think through the problems of what we could face and make it run as smoothly as possible. Thank you to Central, Chris Mattinson, the mineralogy professor here, who was the one who really sponsored us, Nick Zentner, who gave us a ton of help. This is his rig with the audio visual and the guidance to Dan. That was amazing help. The Symposium Planning Committee, so that's Julian, Bruce, Thea, Karen Hinderman, Dan, of course, and all of the people who've pitched in here and there makes a huge difference. And of course, everybody who came, we had a great turnout and high energy, and that's really what it's all about. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jessica.